Hello, happy Sabbath, and welcome back to A Chapter a Day. It is Saturday, February the 24th, and we are going to be reading chapter 4. So, thank you again for viewers and comments, and again, I continue to pray that you have inspiration and insight into something that you hear. Okay, so let's go on with Exodus chapter 4. And Moses answered and said, But behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice, for they will say, The Lord hath not appeared unto thee. And the Lord said unto him, What is that in thine hand? And he said, A rod. And he said, Cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it. And the Lord said unto Moses, Put forth thine hand, and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand, and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand. That they may believe that the Lord God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, hath appeared unto thee. And the Lord said furthermore unto him, Put now thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, Put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe thee, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe also these two signs, neither hearken unto thy voice, that thou shalt take up the water of the river, and pour it upon the dry land, and the water which thou takest out of the river shall become blood upon the dry land. And Moses said unto the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant. But I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue. And the Lord said unto him, Who has made man's mouth? Or who maketh the dumb, or deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with thy mouth, and teach thee what thou shalt say. And he said, O my Lord, send, I pray thee, by the hand of him whom thou wilt send. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses, and he said, Is not Aaron the Levite thy brother? I know that he can speak well. And also, behold, he cometh forth to meet thee. And when he seeth thee, he will be glad in his heart. And thou shalt speak unto him, and put words in his mouth. And I will be with thy mouth, and with his mouth, and will teach you what you shall do. And he shall be thy spokesman unto the people. And he shall be, even he shall be to thee instead of a mouth, and thou shalt be to him instead of God. And thou shalt take this rod in thine hand, wherewith thou shalt do signs. And Moses went and returned to Jethro his father-in-law, and said unto him, Let me go, I pray thee, and return unto my brethren which are in Egypt, and see whether they be yet alive. And Jethro said to Moses, Go in peace. And the Lord said unto Moses in Midian, Go, return into Egypt, for all the men are dead which sought thy life. And Moses took his wife and his sons, and set them upon an ass, and he returned to the land of Egypt. And Moses took the rod of God in his hand. And the Lord said unto Moses, When thou goest to return into Egypt, see that thou do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thine hand. But I will harden his heart, that he shall not let the people go. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, Thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And I say unto thee, Let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn. And it came to pass by the way in the inn, that the Lord met him and sought to kill him. Then Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son, and cast it at his feet, and said, Surely a bloody husband art thou to me. So he let him go. Then she said, A bloody husband thou art, because of the circumcision. And the Lord said to Aaron, Go into the wilderness to meet Moses. And he went and met him in the mount of God and kissed him. And Moses told Aaron all the words of the Lord who had sent him, and all the signs which he had commanded him. And Moses and Aaron went and gathered together all the elders of the children of Israel. And Aaron spake all the words which the Lord had spoken unto Moses, and did the signs in the sight of the people. And the people believed, and when they heard that the Lord had visited the children of Israel, and that he had looked upon their affliction, then they bowed their heads and worshipped. And that is the end of the reading of Exodus chapter 4. Now our recap. Moses is now being told by God to go back to Egypt, to Pharaoh. Remember, he ran away because he was found out to have killed an Egyptian by both the Hebrews, and of course if Pharaoh heard, then the other Egyptians must have also. So he ran away to protect himself, came upon this place called Midian, where he met some shepherdesses who he assisted by the well, and then they later on went back and brought him home to meet their father. The eldest one ended up marrying Moses, and then Moses stays with them. He becomes a shepherd, and while they are out there in the wilderness, one time he's out in the wilderness, he sees this bush burning, but it's not being consumed. So that kind of gets his attention. And when he goes over, the angel talks to him from within the burning bush, and then he recognizes or believes it is God that is giving him instructions. I believe God did identify himself and told him he wants him to go back to Egypt. So in chapter 4, he's still convincing him, Moses, I want you to go. Moses keeps making all kinds of excuses. Lord, I can't speak well. Lord, who am I? I'm no, who am I going to say, that sent me? And God already told him, I am who I am. He gave him 2 examples as to how he will be using him to convince Pharaoh. One was the rod that Moses had in his hand, because he was a shepherd. Threw the rod on the ground, became a serpent. He grabbed it by the tail, it became a rod again. Put his hand into his bosom, it became leprous. Pulled it out, it was back to clean flesh. So, these 2 signs, I guess, didn't really convince him. It may be convincing him, yeah, God, you're great, but I still don't think I'm good enough. So God was getting a little upset with him. Like if you're trying to convince somebody, hey, you can do something, and they keep trying to convince you, no, I can't. So God said, you know what, fine, let Aaron speak for you. He can speak well. So he's going to be your mouth, and you're going to be to him like God, because I'm going to be giving you directly all the instructions. And again, he tells him, I know Pharaoh will not let the people go. I will harden his heart. But when I do the killing of the firstborn, that's when he's going to let him go. So God kind of prepped Moses from all the way through, beginning to end, as to what he was going to do. So Moses took his wife and his children. And there's an incident here that is never quite clear to me every time I read the Bible. But I'm thinking Zipporah, his wife, may not have agreed to circumcision for her sons. This is in my own thinking. And when, after God had spoken to Moses about that firstborn, because that was a covenant with that was made with Abraham, since Abraham, remember, and he had to circumcise his whole household. So it seems to me that Zipporah did not circumcise her sons, and there was some sort of confusion there after God spoke with Moses, and apparently it's not very clear who God sought to kill. It just says, and the Lord met him and sought to kill him. by the inn. I don't know who the him is. So Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son. I guess one of them was not circumcised. And she threw it at Moses' feet and told him he was a bloody husband because of the circumcision. So in my thinking, yeah, it might have been that, because she was not an Israelite. So she maybe didn't fully agree with that circumcision thing. But anyway, Aaron came to meet Moses, and Moses told Aaron all that God had told him that he was supposed to do, and how Aaron was supposed to act on his behalf as well. And they both went back to the children of Israel first, spoke with them, and showed them the signs that God had given to Moses, and the people believed, and the Lord visited the children of Israel, and the people were bowing and worshiping at that time. So the people were on board for Moses to deliver them, and now we will see what will happen at our next reading. So until, I pray that you all have a wonderful day. Happy Sabbath again. Have a great day and a great weekend. For those of you who have been working all week, rest. And until our next reading, take care. Bye.